Hello and welcome to jasonnewland.com. My name's Jason Newland. This is Let Me Bore You to Sleep. And it's a new series from Newland called Thursday Throwbacks. Now, this is going to be every Thursday, and it's going to continue. I mean, it might go on for quite a while. I don't mean this particular recording, but this series might last kind of continuously, a bit like Q&A Friday or Trivia Tuesday or Monday's Boring Objects or Whisper Wednesday now. Although, there's always a chance I don't do one week, but yeah. So this is going to be Thursday Throwbacks. I've got it in front of me because I keep forgetting what it's called. So this is just description. And this is my new Thursday show weekly. I'll be focusing on various things over the coming months. I'm reading this. This is the description I'm going to have for the podcast. I'm not going to do a separate podcast yet, but if I continue doing it for a while, I will do a separate podcast, but still include it with the Let Me Bore You to Sleep and normal stuff, So I'll be focusing on things over the coming months, such as movies, sporting events, songs, albums, TV shows, stuff like that. And I'll also focus on various decades and years. And that's it, really. So I'm going to start off today. First of all, say only listen when you can safely close your eyes. And today is TV shows from 1980. TV shows from 1980. So I'm going to be looking at the UK. But there will be other TV shows from other countries there as well. But only ones that were broadcast in the UK. Okay? So you might hear about stuff you've never heard of before if you live in another country. Or you might hear about stuff that you really do know about. Yeah. So I've asked ChatGPT to find me pretty much all nationally broadcast shows in 1980, and there's a huge list. A huge list. So, and it's probably going to miss some out, which is fine, but it's a massive list. I mean, wow. Today, it's proper windy out there and raining. I managed to twice not get wet, which is good. But in all fairness, this morning, about 10 to 10, I went out with him, with old Vinster, and even he didn't want to be out in it. So we were out long enough for him to do a quick wee-wee. We didn't even get as far as the park. And we both finished, we'd both gone to the toilet and we just got home straight away. And I think he was finished before me. So I got a little bit wet, but not enough to really be bothered by. It was more like a very minimal splash, like walking on a pavement and a bicycle goes past and there's a small puddle and the bicycle only hits a little part of the puddle, and I moved out of the way and only got a little bit of the splash. So there's a few wet parts on my leg. Does that make sense? So I didn't need to change my trousers because I just put them on clean. So I didn't need to change them because it was just a little bit of rain. I mean, I don't sit around in wet clothes. I know that's not the best idea. Unless, of course, you enjoy sitting around in wet clothes, then good on you. But it wasn't really the case. I can't tell you about my pyjamas. Oh, man. I've got a new routine now at night. It's only been for 2 days, but it just feels so comfy. Like, proper comfy. So I bought this, what's it called? It's like a bed gown kind of thing. It's not pyjamas, so it's not like bottoms and top, you know, with a little kind of pocket with a button. I don't know what that's about. I'm not nothing like that. But it's a gown, but it doesn't go down very far. It goes down to about just above my knees. Ideally, it would go down to probably my shins, so maybe I'll look at getting a longer one. But it's very loose. You know, it's very freeing, because normally I would wear a t-shirt and jogging bottoms in bed. What else am I going to wear jogging bottoms for? Jogging? Oh, yeah. So that's what I would normally wear in the winter, or, you know, when it's not warm enough to just be in me underwear, as it was. Well, as it's my underwear, still is my underwear. But there's a little bit of a constriction, just having, like, trousers, even though they're fairly loose, but it's nice to have nothing, no underwear, no t-shirt, sort of a little bit tight sometimes, depending on how fat I am that day, and nothing pressing against me belly, you know, like, even though it's elastic and it's not like super tight, it's nice to have that freedom. And it's big enough that no matter where I go, it's not putting any pressure on my shoulders. If I was going to make one criticism, is it's probably not quite long enough. It rides up a little bit, but not in a way that's as uncomfortable as with my tracksuit bottoms. I would ride up my legs, so I can't keep them to pull them down. But it's just comfy. It actually feels comfortable. And I got this, I'm going to argue, the best ever dressing gown I've ever had. And again, it's just the size. I didn't like the idea of being XXXL or whatever it is, like super large. I didn't like the idea of wearing stuff like that. I don't mind large, don't mind XL, but double XL seems a little bit excessive. But with something like a dressing gown or like a coat, if I wear a coat, I have to have the coat big because I've got clothes underneath. If I was naked underneath, the coat wouldn't need to be so big. But then I wouldn't need a coat because I'd probably be in prison. So the dressing gown needs to be a nice size for me to be able to relax. Because all I have underneath it is either nothing or my bedclothes. I don't wear it. I'm not going to be wearing it over normal clothes. So I don't know, it's quite nice. It's loose. I'm very much into loose things at the moment. It's constriction I don't like. It's that I just find a little bit. I like to be able to just stretch out. I mean, it's okay to wear a tight top if you're trying to show off your body and stuff. I mean, if not talking about you, but me, you know, when I'm in let's say if I wake up tomorrow and I'm just, for some reason, I'm super buff. I've been doing maybe sleep press-ups. Instead of sleepwalking, sleep press-ups. And I've done like thousands and I've just got muscles bulging everywhere. I might wear a tight top. But generally, you know, that doesn't happen very often. It's never happened. Okay, fair enough. But I just like the looseness. It's nice. And sometimes I mean, my dressing gowns I had before, they weren't tight, but they weren't loose. But I'd never had a loose one before. I'd only ever experienced tight ones. Well, not tight, but like quite, you know, hugging. That's probably a better word, wouldn't it? But to have one that's really cosy, warm, but also very freeing, liberating, very, you know, that's probably a better sound. It's just, yeah, I prefer that. I mean, the arms are too long, but the arms are always going to be too long because I've got little tiny short arms. It's just one of those things. My arms do not match my body. I got short legs, short arms, and this thing in between. Just this massive. I'm really selling myself, aren't I? By the way, if you're interested in a new boyfriend, let me know. Ooh. But yes, it's nice. So what I've been doing at night is have a shower, get into my pyjamas. So I only wear my pyjamas when I'm in bed. Don't wear them any other time, or my nightgown. And I'm going to try and get a few more nightgowns, and maybe, because they're not expensive. They're only like, I think it's 20 quid or something. And then maybe try and get a longer one. And then I'm thinking maybe on Saturdays, or when I'm kind of done for the day and I know I don't have to go out anymore, maybe I'll have a shower earlier rather than have a shower just before going to bed. And then I can put me nightdress on, and my dressing gown, and just chill out on the sofa, watching TV or watching boxing or stuff. The thing is, quite often I do have to sort of take him out. Sometimes at 10. I don't like to go out when it's dark, but sometimes he needs to go out. But I do now have lights. Did I tell you about my lights? Oh, I got these really tiny lights that, seriously, they're tiny, but you can see. I can be seen, and I can use them to see the grass and stuff. And they're like clip-on as well. And I've also got this band that goes around my waist. It's like not a waistband, not around my waist, around my... Do you know those high-vis vests? Or not high-vis vests, but the high-vis strips that people sometimes wear when they're cycling or stuff like that, or jogging. It's kind of like that, but it's not high-vis. Well, it's nothing like a high-vis vest then if it's not high-vis. No, wait. It's the same kind of design, but it's got two lights. One that comes on your back, one that comes on your back, on your chest. And you can change the lights. So you got white, flashing white, you got red, flashing red, and you got green, I think, or flashing green. Now, initially I had flashing lights, but I realised that's not always good for other people, for like flashing lights. So I had to just have it on either like yellow or orange, pink and blue, something like that. So one different colour each side. So the one on my chest, different colour to the one on my back, which is on the... I'm trying to explain what this thing's called. Like a strip thing. A belt that's not on your belt, it's like across the chest, like, you know, put one arm through and put your head through the other one, you know, like that. It's not restricting at all. And someone yesterday, they saw me, someone that I'm used to saying hello to. I couldn't see who they were, it's too far. I won't be able to see who it was in the light, but in the dark, until they get close up, I can't see, you know, anything. That's really why I don't like going out in the dark. But when they got closer, I could realise it's who it was. And one of the ladies, she was saying, "Oh, we could see you from the other side of the park." And I thought, brilliant. That's what I need. I just want people to just know that I'm here. Not me particularly, but just... I think it'd be quite a good idea for everyone to have some kind of visibility when they're walking around in a very, very dark area. But then I've spent years walking around in dark areas without any kind of visibility, which sounds weird when you say it out loud. I don't mean like hanging around in dark alleys or anything like that, but it's just, you kind of get used to just going where you're going, don't you? I suppose. And if it's dark, you just walk through, and I don't know. The thing is, 10 years ago, we had street lights that were much brighter. And 20 years ago, street lights were on all night long. Now, they may be in some parts of the country, but they're not here. They go off about 1 o'clock, 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. And then it's literally pitch black on the whole estate. You can't see someone that's right in front of you, unless you can. I mean, I struggle to see people during the day sometimes, but you can't. It's really... It's just not my thing. I don't enjoy it. So I don't go out when it's pitch black, unless I'm with someone. If I'm with someone, fine. But I don't like saying that I have gone out. If I've got Vinny and he needs to go out, I'll go out. But I do have a torch. I'm not going to walk around in the pitch black without a torch or something. Just my own, just so I don't fall over and trip on stuff. But then, now that they've got the lights, or for quite a few years they've had the lights, it's almost... I'll give you an idea. Someone had their lights on in their car, and it's probably at least 3 times brighter than the street light that was next to it. Just their car light. And I'm pretty sure that street lights used to be as bright as a car light. Maybe I'm wrong. So I realise they're trying to save money, the council and stuff. And they've got these, I don't know if there's these long life bulbs and stuff in the streetlights. But honestly, the streetlights are so dull now that okay, I can't, but I imagine no one could read underneath them. So if you stand under a streetlight, they used to be really bright, and you could literally, okay, if you was waiting for a bus, or if you wanted to read something out of a book, you could stand under a streetlight 30 years ago and you could read that book. Why would you be standing under a streetlight at 3 in? I don't know. Can you flap your ears a bit more, please, Vinny? Thanks. But that's kind of how bright it was. Now, I struggle to even see the floor sometimes. Now, it'd be weird if I go to the opticians and I realise it's just my eyes. It'd be my eyes the whole time, and actually the lights are fine. They've always been that same brightness. But they haven't, because I know other people have commented on it as well. I remember the night going out when they'd changed the lights, because I'd been going doing this. You can see them doing work during the day. This is about 8-9 years ago. And coming out and thinking, there's something wrong with that light, it's not working, it's like hardly on. And then going up to the next one, it's not working either. And then looking and realising that every light in the street was about probably a third or a quarter of the brightness it was before. Now, I'm making that bit up, because I don't know what the percentage is. I nearly said statistically, didn't I? But I don't know exactly, but it's definitely very dull. And it's almost like the people, the council, whatever, have forgotten why we had streetlights in the first place. That seems to have been, forgotten. I mean, I'm pretty sure 200 years ago, or 150 years ago, whenever the first streetlights occurred, the brightness it is now would have been welcome. It would have been like, wow, this is really good. But after having it be bright for 30, 40 years of my life or whatever, and then suddenly it's not like that anymore. And having the lights on at night time, especially when you consider at the weekends, a lot of people go night clubbing and stuff, so they're walking home at 3 in in the pitch black. I don't know. Do I sound like I'm having a moan? I'm not having a moan. I'm just doing a social commentary up on streetlights. For some reason, no particular. How did I even get onto streetlights? Oh, guess what? You know what I've discovered? I've been listening to this bloke's podcast, and it sends me to sleep every single time. It's me. It's true, it's me. I've been listening to my own podcast for the last couple of weeks. I bore myself to sleep. Whether it's a let me bore your pain away, let me bore you to sleep, even if it's like a whisper one. I know not everyone likes the whisper ones, but if I fall asleep. So I started realising, I think I talked about this the other day, chefs taste their food, don't they? And it reminds me, actually, I had my cousin worked in this place. It was a sign shop, and they made signs. I guess they would if they were a sign shop, but I was just meeting him during his lunch break, and I think we were going to go for coffee or a pint or something. And this was like, I don't know, about 99, 2000 kind of time. So I meet him. I'd never been there before. And outside there was all these signs all the way around the window. And I went in and I said to him, I said, "You all right?" He said, "Yeah." I said, and I was laughing. He said, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "The outside of this shop is ridiculous." He said, "Why?" I said, "You got a shop here advertising that you're going to make signs for people, and it looks like it's a boarded up shop. It's just messy. One sign that's covered over another sign, stuff that's peeling off. It's absolutely disgusting. It's horrible. It looks like I don't know what I said, but it looks like it's been occupied, this building, and they didn't want anyone looking in the windows, watching them smoking, whatever." So now I didn't realise that his boss was listening to me in like the next room. I didn't say it to be cruel. I just said it because I just couldn't believe that. Like if you're going to sell burgers, right? You can advertise, and you can, or let's say you can put. Say if you've got a Chinese takeaway, so you could advertise and you can put pictures of the Chinese food, put a menu up, and they're kind of generally the same sort of design that I've noticed over the last, wherever I've been. Chinese takeaways are pretty much this very similar design. But if the people that worked there, that owned the place, just chucked bits of food at the window from inside and just left it there, it might not attract as many new customers as you'd think. But we're letting people know what our food looks like. Yeah, but maybe not in the best visual representation possible. And he did say, "What's wrong?" I said, "It looks messy. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's really... It looks like you've kind of boarded up the shop, or like you're refurbishing or something, because all these signs were just like on top of each other, then another one, and we just hung around for a bit, and then I went home and I visited him again a couple of weeks later. The whole of the shop was redone. He never mentioned anything to me at all. And the whole of the outside of the shop was really nice. They took everything down, everything off the glass, because it's those kind of signs that you put on your glass or on your car. You know, it's like sticker signs, whatever they call them. And they put up, it was really nice. And I just like, oh, whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to kind of cause a fuss, but it gave him a lot of work, because I think he probably did it all. And he had him stripping, and then he got him taking all the stuff off the window. And it was kind of like, okay, you're welcome. Because, I mean, did it increase their income? Did they get more customers? Because it was in a very busy road. A lot of passing trade, potentially. I mean, hundreds of cars going past every hour. Maybe, well, hundreds, I don't know about thousands, but, you know, continuous. Every second another car would be going past. All day long. Because it's London. East London. I think it was the Lea Bridge Road, actually. So it's a very, very busy road. It leads to like Walthamstow, Leytonstone, Stratford. You know, it's kind of like a crossover road that just really busy, really busy. So again, I don't know why I'm telling you that. What's that got to do with lights, street lights? Ah, well. So back to the thing. I'm just catching you up on what's been going on. So I'm really enjoying my bedclothes. My sleeping attire, maybe. So let's get back to business. Vinny is my co-host, and he is performing his regular task, his role of making as much noise as possible. Makes you wonder why I've got all the windows closed and the noise dampening curtains up, when he's just going to sit under the table and completely destroy any kind of silence that I was trying to create. So let's have a look at this. You got an audience with. I used to watch that. It was on ITV. Basically, this is 1980. It did have celebrities where the people are just not always stand-up comedians, but generally people that were good with performing in front of an audience. So there's a couple that come to mind: Kenneth Williams, Peter Ustinov, Billy Connolly, Frankie Howard. That's a few that I remember did an audience with. Maybe not in 1980, but it was ongoing for quite a few years, I think. Then you've got Animal Kingdom. I used to watch Animal Kingdom. It'd been running since 1962, and it went all the way to 1980. I don't know when it stopped, but that was something Heart. And was Animal Kingdom, is that when he did the voices of the animals? There was one show, it might be, he did the voices of the animals and they all like talk to each other. I've got to check this out, sorry. Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom. Was it Animal Kingdom? Animal Magic, sorry. I'm thinking of a different show there. Magic. Animal Magic. Oh, it's not the show I was thinking of at all. That's weird. Nope. Johnny Morris. Okay, right. It was like a wildlife show, really. Well, it was a wildlife show. Oh, yes, it was. I got it right. The presenter was Johnny Morris, and the show combined jovial voiceovers applied to various animals from Bristol Zoo with some basic educational features. Morris's co-presenters, blah, blah, blah. Okay, right. Yeah, because that was funny. I mean, as a kid, it was just funny, which I probably watched it, you know, growing up as well, before 1980. But as a kid, it was funny just seeing an animal talking. You know what I mean? Like seeing a monkey say, "Hello, I'm a monkey." I don't know, whatever it said. So I remember that. Arena. Right. I probably didn't really watch that. It was a bit more like adult thing. But that would be kind of like a... It was more like a review show, you know, artistic stuff, which was a little bit above my pay grade when I was 9. And then you got Arena. No, it is Arena. Are You Being Served? And this was a really, really popular sitcom that I used to watch as well. But it wasn't one that I would watch myself. It was just on telly. And I think it would be on a Saturday night. I think. And it was based in a shop, like a big supermarket. Not supermarket, a big... A little bit like the old-fashioned, like Harrods kind of shop. Where you'd go in and there'd be a clothes department, and there'd be a food department, and there'd be different departments for different things, maybe probably a jewellery department. So it was based in one of those kinds of places that used to exist. I guess a lot of places were like that, you know, a long time ago. And all the characters stood out on their own. Like they had a regular bunch of characters that were in the show, and it was funny. It was, but it was because of the characters. And there was a lady there that kept talking about her pussy because she had a cat, and because it was Saturday night, because she made sure that everyone knew that she was talking about her cat, but she kept saying pussy, and we all laughed. Which is weird because I was laughing at the fact that she kept talking about her cat. I was 9. Oh dear. Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World. I used to like watching that because that fitted in my... I think I've kind of always been intrigued by weird stuff, whether it's UFOs, the occult, ghosts, anything. I was like vampires, you know, old kind of mythical stuff. It interests me. That stuff just does interest me. Not to the point where I'm going to spend all day watching YouTube videos about ghost hunters and you can't be bothered. I mean, I do like seeing, you know, when people go into very old buildings, like really, really old buildings that have been abandoned for years and years and years, or an old hospital. I'm not that interested in the ghost side of it, where they're like, you never see a ghost, to start with. I think they never see one. They've been going for decades, these kinds of shows on TV, as well as now on the internet for the last 15 years or 20 years. Never actually see a ghost. You hear the odd sound. It's muffled, and like they sort of kind of de-scramble it, and what they've said is, "Hello, can you get me a Big Mac?" or something like that. So what I like is seeing the surroundings. So I'd prefer it to them to go there during the day and have a look at... There's something nice about old buildings. Something that was been around long before I was even existed. Maybe something that was around long before my grandparents' parents were existed, you know? There's something nice about that. I like that. Battle of the Planets. Battle of the Planets. Oh, it was a cartoon, yeah. I used to watch that. It used to be quite good, actually. That was on ITV. And it was just basically lots of spaceships and stuff like that. Yeah, I used to like that. BBC 9 o'clock news. Well, I would not have watched the 9 o'clock news. Generally, I'd be in bed by that time. At that age, I'd have been in bed by 9 o'clock. So yeah, I wouldn't be watching that. Also, I had zero interest in the news when I was 9. BBC Wimbledon. Now, in 1980, Wimbledon was probably at its height, or early 80s, because you had, I can't really say the exact dates or the exact years, but tennis was huge in the UK. I'm not saying it's not big now, but it was humongous because of the characters. So you had Bjorn Borg, or whatever, but then McEnroe. McEnroe changed tennis. It was the biggest, arguably the biggest celebrity in the world for a while. And he was a tennis player. But he was so controversial, and dolls were made of him, which you pulled a string and it said, "You cannot be serious." Stuff like that. And he was must-watch television. Even people that didn't like tennis were watching it because they wanted to see what he was going to do next. It was almost impossible not to watch him because he was so watchable, and he was also really, really good at tennis as well. So it would have been one of the largest watched shows that year. Whenever McEnroe was in the Wimbledon final, that would have been one of the biggest watched shows. Shall I check that out? Shall I do some fact checking? I don't want to. Okay, I'll do some fact checking. What, the longest recording I've ever done? Yeah, I think you're right. Wimbledon, 1980 viewing figures. Wow. Fight scene. What? Viewing figures. That's weird. Where did the fight scene comes from? Right. Oh, because I'm viewing figures because I put fight in for some reason. Probably something about boxing. Okay. Let's have a look. There's actually Wimbledon.com with some stats. So let's have a look at Wimbledon. But this is Wimbledon. So it's saying here the most facts and figures on frequently asked topics about the championship. Most aces, most attendances, balls and ball girls, balls altogether, broadcast. Global appetite for Wimbledon remains strong in 2025. We've streamed in 69.3 million countries. I think, no, sorry. Was streamed more than 69.3 million times in the UK on the BBC iPlayer. Wow. So that is, I guess it's different because now you can, back then, you had to watch it there and then. I'm not sure if video recorders were around, weren't they? So you could probably record it, but that wouldn't go down as an extra watch. I just want to see. Okay, well, it's not going to give me anything there. They're not talking about 1980 for some reason. That's all I wanted. Sometimes it's all you want, but it's not giving it to me. Viewing figures. No, I can't get it. It's probably somewhere, but it's not giving it to me. 19, no, not women's, men's. Oh, it's only because I'm thinking about Mike McEnroe, because it was McEnroe was in the final with Bjorn Borg, and McEnroe. I don't want to spoil the results, so put your hand over your ears if you don't want to know what the result of the Wimbledon final was in 1980. Really? So Bjorn Borg won. But I just want to know how many people watched it. I remember, Jimmy Connors played against John McEnroe a few times. Ivor Lendl. Really? I thought he was a lot long after that. Okay. How many people watched that? That's what I want to know. Do you think they'd have a little bit of information there? No, nothing. Viewing figures. Figures. Okay. Anyway, a lot of people watched it. That's a good memory though, wasn't it, to remember who was in the final without looking at it? Although I can't prove that I hadn't looked at it before I told you it, because you can't see the screen. But I genuinely didn't look at it until just then. Blue Peter. I watched Blue Peter all the way through my childhood. As far back as I remember, from the age of 7 or whatever. So, because I think my childhood started when I was 7. That's how I kind of see it. So, got to sort of watch TV programs and children's stuff, and if you don't know what Blue Peter is, it's basically, it's kind of like I guess it would be called like a magazine show, where it covers lots of different things. Covers what's going on in pop, covers what's going on in the world, but in a really kind of gentle thing for children. Talks about how to build things. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just very, not a news program, but it was good. I'll say it was good. It was a really good show. Blake 7. I loved Blake 7. I loved Blake 7. It was, the premise of it was really, well, it was weird because Blake, I don't want to spoil it. It ended in 1982, but if you haven't watched it, I don't want to spoil. No, it ended at 81, sorry. I don't want to spoil it if you've not watched it. Blake he's in charge of this ship. But for some reason, he is out of the show. And it's still called Blake 7, but he's not even in the show. I don't think he ever comes back to the show. I don't know why. Why? It's going to bother me now. Blake 7. So let's have a look. Blake 7. And they have like a transporter thing, like with Star Trek, and they stand on the thing and they're transported from the ship, aren't they? Here they use bracelets in Blake 7 to transport themselves. 4 series of 13 50-minute episodes broadcast on BBC One between 78 and 81. Right. Rog Blake, played by Gareth Thomas, lead of the crew in series 1 to 2. Okay, maybe it was in 2 series. Guest appearances in 3 and 4. I don't know. I mean, really, Avon was the star. Now, I'd love to say that I remembered his name, but it's in front of me. He was in from 1 to 4, series 1 to 4, lead of the crew from season 3 to 4. He was a bad guy. He was the king, not the king. He was in charge, but he was also a bad person. I think he was naughty. Wow. Okay, so I'm not quite sure what happened. Overfjord, Blake, At the end of the first series, they captured a supercomputer named Aurak. Aurak, I remember. It spoke. It was like a computer that spoke. After the end of the second series, Blake and Jenna disappear and are replaced by new characters, Dana and Tarrant. At the start of the fourth season, did they disappear? I've got this feeling that they disappeared, but no one knew that they disappeared. Like there's something different, but they didn't know what it was. Wow. Maybe not. Oh no, wait a minute. Let's have a look. I just saw something. Alright, by the third season, after Blake has gone missing, Avon becomes a leader. Okay. So it's kind of like Star Trek-y, but very in its own bracket. And it's a bit of a cult TV show now. But it wasn't high tech, but then not much was high tech in 1980 as far as British television shows. It wasn't quite in the same league as Star Wars that had been made like a year or so before. Star Wars, it was 79, wasn't it? Brideshead Revisited, I don't know that one. Branded. Hasn't a new TV show called Brideshead Revisited, or I'm sure I saw it on Netflix. It's not new, but a more up-to-date version. I don't think I ever watched it. Brendan Chase, I don't remember that. It sounds familiar. Buck Rogers in the 25th century. Oh, so Buck Rogers, basically, I think he's in a space shuttle or some kind of spaceship. Or is he he's in a spaceship, I think, and he gets caught in either a black hole or some kind of time warp, and he gets put forward into time by 400 years or something like that. And he wakes up and he's defrosted or whatever. I don't know, they put him in a microwave. I don't know how they did it. And maybe just stuck him on top of a radiator for a few hours. I don't know. But I used to love it because what it was, it kind of had the same feeling in a way that Flash Gordon, the movie, had. It was quite colourful. It kind of had that same feeling, which I've only just realised. It's probably why I liked it so much. Everything was kind of glamorous. It was high tech. It was well made. And Yeah, Buck Rogers. He had a big hairy chest. Not relevant, but it's also true. And then he had a sidekick called... It's like this little robot that was like the size of a kid. But it had... So it was like a proper like little android, silver. And then it had this... like a necklace, but with a big round disc that had lights on. So it was kind of two different things at the same time. So when it spoke, it kind of could speak to the disc, and it'd be saying, "Buck, you need to try and do this, and we can do this, and blah." But when the robot spoke, what he would do is like say, "Biddy biddy biddy biddy, come on, Buck, biddy 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 biddy, Buck, can we go low?" I don't know, but it was definitely biddy 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 biddy. That was actually a really good impression. Button Moon, nope. Call My Bluff, nope. The Big Match, great for people who loved watching football. Admittedly, at the time, my local team was the biggest team in Europe and in the UK, so where I lived. So I did watch a bit of football because it was on TV. There was no way of escaping it. But generally, not really interested in football. Never really was that bothered. I will watch, even now, I watch World Cups and European Cups. And I don't dislike it, it's just something I've never really been into. But my oldest brother was fanatical about it. Children in Need. I didn't think that was on in 1980. Come Dancing. Oh, if you don't know what Children in Need is, it's it's like an evening where celebrities go on and do comedy sketches and tell jokes. Musicians play, whatever, famous people come on, and in between that there's really sad adverts in order to raise money. It's a telethon to raise money for the charity, which is an amazing charity, but I cannot watch those shows because I can't go between laughing and feeling really sad the next second. I just don't want to do that. So, yeah. If it's a charity that I find funny, then it's okay. But they haven't done it for charities that I found funny. It's always like serious charity. Come Dancing. Now, long before Strictly Come Dancing was on our screens, which I don't watch, my nan loved Strictly Come Dancing. Come Dancing was on TV, and I used to watch it, and I'll be honest with you, the only reason I watched it is because the dresses. There's a lot of low-cut dresses. Just being honest, that's why I watched it. And I was sitting there, even at the age of like 9, 10, 25, 30, whatever, I was just... That was it. I was like, yeah. Too much honesty. But yeah, that's the only reason I watched it. It used to be on late at night, so I used to watch it when I was probably later on in my lifetime, like 17 and that. But I'd watch it if I got a chance to. Coronation Street. It used to be on. So yeah, I used to watch Coronation Street. I didn't, at that age, wasn't really interested in soaps. But Coronation Street's been around since 1960. Come Dancing's been around since 1949. We didn't even have televisions in 1949, did we? Crown Court. I think that's one of those daytime soap operas, I think, or dramas. Crackerjack. I used to watch Crackerjack, and it was it was I don't know, like a variety show kind of, and it was great. And I don't know about if it was the same presenter the whole way through, but one of the presenters used to have a catchphrase, which was, "Oh, I could crush a grape." That was one of his catchphrases. Dallas. Wow. I don't think there was anyone in the world that wasn't watching Dallas in 1980. It was pretty much one of the most popular programs in the English-speaking world. It was like a mixture, wasn't it? Because it was drama. I'd never ever seen anything like that before, where it was too adult. I shouldn't have been watching it. Not really. Not at 9. But I did, and I liked it. But it would be on a Saturday night, probably about 8 o'clock, maybe 7, 8. And it was like must watch. And then there was the Who Shot JR, which was anyone 30 and under, or 40 and under even, you might not understand quite how big the Who Shot JR was, situation was in Dallas. It was huge, like so big. A little bit like when I talked about John McEnroe. It's hard to really express how huge and successful and popular and unpopular and famous he was in 1980 and 81, 82. Honestly, like superstar level. Anyone that disagrees, tell me. But if you do agree, maybe you can post, because if you remember that stuff. Okay, just looking through. Death of a Princess. Nope. Controversial one-off in 1980. Oh no, I didn't see that, I don't think. Different Strokes. Now I've been watching that a little bit recently because I've been showing it on telly during the afternoon. If I see it's on, I'll watch it. And I didn't realise how political it was. Not political, social politics. It is, or it was. And it was a good show. I loved it at the time. Arnold. What are you talking about, Wolf? The thing is, it wasn't the words, was it? It was that facial expression afterwards, and the fact that he'd keep staring. Very funny. I loved it. But even watching it later on, like a lot later on, 40 odd years, 45 years later, I can see its appeal. Even now. Did you see? No, I didn't. I don't know what that is. It was a review show. Oh, Doctor Who. Yep. I grew up watching Doctor Who, and I watched it every single time it was on. From the first time I watched it to the last time I watched it. That makes sense. I never missed an episode. Apart from, actually, I probably did miss a few episodes when I started doing karate and when I was doing the Sea Cadets. So I probably did miss some episodes. But generally, like when I was in my younger years, I never missed an episode. Yeah. I'm trying to think. It used to be in. I'm sure it used to be on a third. No. Was it Tuesday night? Was it a Monday night? I'm sure it was on a Monday night. It was on a night where I wasn't out. I think it was a Monday night. So I did watch it every time. And then it went off air. Then it came back in about 2005. And I started watching it again. And I enjoyed that. And then it's like every week they seem to be changing into a new Doctor. It just got a bit hard to follow for me. And I stopped watching it. But I'm sure they're all really good and everything. But there's... you know, when I used to watch it, so I watch it from behind the sofa. And they said, "Is you scared?" I said, "No." I said, "People couldn't see what I was doing." So I used to watch it. Yeah, I think it was scary. I can't remember, but not as an adult. But I'd still watch it. You know, I did still watch it until. Blimey, it's been years and years and years. Emmerdale Farm. Now, it's now called Emmerdale. And I watched it when I was a kid. Didn't really like it. It was about a farm. It wasn't really my thing, to be honest. So, yeah, I wasn't into farming. Because I didn't live on a farm, you see. So farming was very alien to me. You could argue, but you didn't live in a TARDIS. No, you didn't live in a Dallas. You weren't living an oil field either, did you? But you liked that show. Yeah, all right, blimey. I just didn't really, yeah. However, in 2001, I started watching Emmerdale, like the new named version, but it's still the same show. It's still the same people, and it's really good. And I got a little bit hooked on it for probably a couple of years. Family Fortunes, yeah, I used to watch that. Bob Monkhouse. Then Les Dennis took over as well, so I watched that. But in 1980, I watched that. Fawlty Towers. Okay, it basically they would show it. That's probably when I first started watching it, because this repeats. So it was on TV, but it repeats because it was made in 1975. Loved Fawlty Towers. Used to be on BBC Two. Oh yeah, it's saying BBC Two, see? Yeah, but you got it in front of you. No, I know, but I remember it was on BBC Two. Loved Fawlty Towers. It's, at the time, and for many years, I would always say that it was, I wouldn't always say it, but I'd say it's the best comedy show ever. Can you imagine if I did always say that? No one would ever want to talk to me, would they? You know, especially if they had bad news. Oh, we've got some bad news, but oh no, here comes Jason. I can't tell him because he's going to want to talk about Fawlty Towers. Flickers, don't know what that is. Had Bob Hoskins. Oh, is it a sitcom? It's a comedy drama. Love Bob Hoskins. Loved Bob Hoskins. Fox, don't remember that. Gay Life, 1980. It's a groundbreaking TV show. No, don't remember watching that. God's Wonderful Railway, nope. Grandstand, So that's another sports thing. I think they might have had different sports on, and that would be on a Saturday. So, because there was a time around that time when there'd be boxing on a Saturday afternoon, or there would be wrestling, not the type of wrestling that you see now, but old style wrestling that used to be. Yeah, it's a different to. I'm not saying they didn't have any athletes do it, because I'm sure they were all physically fit in a sense, but the two most famous British wrestlers at the time was Giant Haystacks and Big Daddy, and both of them weighed about 2 tons each. They were absolutely ginormous, and they were also really, really famous. You know, the newspapers would be talking about them all the time, talking about their rivalry, because Big Daddy was the goodie and Giant Haystacks was the baddie. Giant Haystacks had a beard, a bit like Popeye's rival, and Big Daddy wore a hat, and he wore like Union Jack cloak, and they were both absolutely huge. You would, I mean, just massive men. So they were really famous. So the grandstand would have lots of different sports on. Great railway journeys. No, don't know that one. Hammer House of Horror. I didn't know it was a TV show. Horror anthology. I used to love the Hammer House of Horror movies. I did. I still do. Because there's a few reasons. Very atmospheric, amazing music. It's just such a good, the atmosphere, the music, the filming. They were scary, eerie, kind of, and the movies. Yeah, it just suited what I liked. Even if they were in colour, I quite like watching them in black and white, because I don't know. Even now, you show an old Frankenstein movie or one of those, the old ones, not Boris Karloff, but like Hammer House of Horror, Vincent Price, Lee, what's his name? Lee, Dracula Lee, him, and Vincent Price. What was his name? I can't remember his name. Oh, anyway, there was 3 really big names in the Hammer House movies, and they were in lots of them. Christopher Lee, and then Van Helsing he played Dracula so many times. Then Van Helsing was Peter Cushing. That's it, Peter Cushing. I'm not looking on the screen, I'm doing this from memory. You don't believe me, do you? It's true though. I might as well just look on the screen and just look it up, if you're not going to believe me when I tell you this stuff. Wow. And then Peter Cushing and Vincent Price, who was probably, for me, the best horror movie actor, because he was so cinematic, and his character in some of the movies was just like, wow, just like really out there. And he also did the voice for the Thriller song, the Michael Jackson's Thriller song. He did that, you know, when he talks about whatever at the end of the song, whatever it is he says. I can't remember. The night is here. He's like a sound. Without a sound. We get him down. Whatever. Does a big laugh at the end. Heart to Heart. Loved Heart to Heart. I really did. Just loved it. It was it's a US import. Just a really, really good show. And I watched it it was Saturday nights. Saturday night peak viewing. So yeah. What was his name? Jonathan Hart. I know it's Stephanie Powers. It's weird. I remember her actual real name. Jonathan and Jennifer. Is it Jonathan and Jennifer Hart? So Stephanie Powers and Robert Wagner. Is that true? I'm not looking at the screen. I'm not. It hasn't got it on the screen here. I'd have to look it up. This is just a list of programs. What? Stop judging me. Heidi High. Yeah, that was big TV show. The comedy, kind of in the same kind of mannerism as Are You Being Served? Possibly the same writers or the same kind of writers. Based in a holiday camp. I think like post-war holiday camp. Like in the 50s or something. So it's, yeah, or 50s or 60s. So it's very, very popular. I used to watch that. That'd be on I think that was on a Sunday night for some reason. Hollywood, James Mason, documentary, silent era films. No, don't remember that. Holding the Fort. No, don't remember that. News at 10, ITV. Nope. ITV World of Sport. See, I think that's another thing that would just be showing different sports. Jackanory. I don't know if you listened to any of my previous recordings, but Jackanory was the first book I ever got. And I got it when I was about, 4 or 5. It's hard to remember. And when I was living in the children's home, they had a jumble sale. So I went to see what was in, see if I could get first dibs on something. And there was a book there. Now, I don't remember if I wouldn't have had any of my own money. So I think they just gave it to me, let me have it. And it was Stories of Jack, I think it's called. I still got it. And I read it probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And it basically taught me to read. Yeah, it kind of taught myself to read by reading it. Because I was so behind at school, having moved around so much. Never stayed in the same school for very long. And it still happened, up to the age of 7. Up to the age of, I still moved around. I had 3 different junior schools. So I didn't have any school stability till I was 9, and I stayed at that school for 2 years. Then I went to high school, where I was at the same school for 4 and a bit years, 4.5 years or whatever. So moving around a lot, and also moved around lots of different addresses and stuff. I think I was behind. I was just really, really behind. And when I was 8, the teachers also, the doctors said that because I was partially deaf in one ear, that's also why I was behind, because I wasn't able to hear things properly. And it's like, okay. So those were the two excuses why I was remedial. I mean, I would have been special needs. If it was today, I'd have been special needs, but back then I was just classed as a moron. It's true. I was in the moron group, the dunces group. I mean, okay, the teachers didn't officially call it that, but that's what everyone else called it. Oh dear. Not in junior school. In junior school, they were kind. In high school, because in junior school, I was just treated nicely. And because I excelled with reading, and I'd take books home and I'd read them and I'd bring them back, and I'd do that every day of the week at school. So I put in everything, and I loved writing, and really loved the teachers. All the teachers were nice. So I put the effort in. When I went to high school, that changed. And after, I think, the first term of the first year of high school, I got taken out of a couple of classes, maths and another one, and I was put into the dunces class, where we just didn't do anything. We were just left on our own, me and probably 6, 7 other kids from the year. And it was just kids. A lot of them were just uncontrollable. They just either wouldn't do anything or disruptive and stuff. Maybe I was disruptive, I don't know. But yeah, so I was taken and put in there, and I think we spent a year or two in that place, but just not every lesson. Just a couple of lessons a week. 3 lessons a week, maybe. I can't remember. And it might have only been for 1 year. I can't really recollect. I remember it, but I can't relate. I couldn't tell you how long it happened for. But I did make some new friends, which was good actually, because I ended up really good friends with how they would have been described back then as some of the ruffians. But they weren't ruffians. They just didn't play the game, But they were some, yeah. So I kind of was friends with them. So I was in their group in a way. But I was also semi in a group with some of the intelligent kids. In the first year, anyway. Because they put a lot of the kids in the wrong groups and the wrong sections. So they put me in the middle. So I was in English in the middle with other kids that should have been at a higher level. So I made friends with them, and then in the second year they were moved up to a much higher level group because they were just really intelligent. I think I just stayed in a group I was in. Juliet Bravo. I used to watch that as a police drama. Yeah, I used to watch that. I think that was on a week evening. I can't remember it much though. Keep It in the Family. It was a sitcom. No. I'm not sure about that one. King Rolo, animation kids program. Nope. Knots Landing. Wasn't Knots Landing the precursor to Dynasty? Or have I got that wrong? So Knots Landing, it was kind of, I guess, the opposition to Dallas, I suppose. Or was it? Maybe it was an extension from Dallas. Love in a Cold Climate. So some drama thing. Match of the Day. Okay, I didn't watch that. Metal Mickey, that would be on early evening, or like probably tea time on a Saturday evening. It was for children, but also, probably parents watched it with their kids. It would be on like 5 or 6, something like that. And it was good. Metal Mickey. I liked it. It was funny. And it'd have celebrities singing and like just kind of stuff like that. And now one of my favourite TV shows ever, Minder. I still watch it now. If it's on, I'll have a little look. But I've seen every episode loads of times. So, but yeah, it was one of my favourite TV shows ever. But the original show, the one with Arthur Daly and Terry. When Terry left, who was the Minder, Arthur got his, nephew to come in and take that role, to look after him. And although I did watch those episodes, and, they were good, but it wasn't the same. MASH, I didn't even know that MASH existed until I got my TV, which would be long after the show finished. Well, not long after, but probably, after, because the show finished in 1983. So I didn't watch it in 1980. But when I did start watching it in about 84, because it was on too late, I used to have it on very late, because repeats, on BBC Two. I did look it up, but I just remember it being on BBC Two. Loved it. I don't know why. There was something about it. And it was so different from anything else I'd ever seen before. So yeah, I really liked that. Multicoloured Swap Shop. I definitely used to watch it on a Saturday morning when I was 7. Because I swapped between... I'd turn over. There's ITV, BBC One. ITV would have Tiswas, and BBC One would have Multicoloured Swap Shop. If it was still on in 1980, I don't know if I was still watching it, but I definitely watched it earlier on, in the earlier years. News at 1. Sometimes I see the news, but again, I would never put the news on for me to watch it. I didn't want to see the news. Newsnight, which is like current affairs, nope, I wouldn't watch that. I'm more likely to watch it now, but even now I kind of... It's kind of like, okay, well... If you don't know what Newsnight is, there's a host, a live audience in various towns. They travel around. It's on a Thursday night, and they normally have probably 4 guests, 2 either side of the host. Maybe there's 3 guests either side, but I think it's 2. And sometimes they just shout at each other, or shout over each other, talk over each other. And it's a mixture of politicians and sometimes celebrities, and it's just basically just politics. And they get questions from the audience and stuff. No, did I say Newsnight? That's the wrong show. I do apologise. That's a completely different show. What am I thinking about then? No, forget what I just said there. Newsnight is, it's basically, it's kind of a summing up of what's happened during the day, if it's on daily, I think, and interviews and things like that, current affairs. News Round, So this is a children's. It used to be called John Craven's News Round. And I'm pretty sure he started off being on Blue Peter. Isn't it weird that I think that? Is it true though? Is it true? Should we just look? John Craven. John Craven. John Craven. God, he's still going good. He's 85 now. Oh no, I'm wrong. Oh, okay, maybe I'm not. So, originally called John Craven's News Round in 1972. The first programme ever produced by British television. And it was like, it was a news show. Okay, yeah, that's it. So I got it right, but I don't know. He did become a bit associated with some other stuff, but... So John Craven's News Round, I did used to watch that. And that'd be on for about 10 minutes every afternoon, about 5, something like that. And I would watch that. It was a more palatable way to get the news. But it quite often the news stories would be about a new panda bear giving birth to a Kit Kat or something. You know, it's just like, it'd be sort of nice stories, although they would cover serious stuff sometimes as well. Another TV show called Nobody's Perfect. Oppenheimer, blimey, so that must have been about the same thing as the movie. Onedin Line, nope, don't remember that. Panorama, yeah, it's a current affairs show that used to be on. I never watched that. Pebble Mill at 1. I would watch Pebble Mill at 1 because it's on during the week at 1 o'clock. It's all in the name. And it was at Pebble Mill Studios, which was, I think, the BBC Studios. However, the only time I ever watched it was on pretty much when I had a day off. So if I was ill, faking it, which I did sometimes if I could get away with it, or like when I had my appendix out, or when I had chicken pox, things like that, I would watch Pebble Mill at 1 because it'd be on, and I liked it. It was alright. I just like not being at school, really. Play School. I used to watch Play School. They used to show Play School twice a day. Now it was BBC One. They show it in the afternoon or in the morning. Yeah, I think it was like 11 o'clock or something. Then they show it again at about 4 o'clock or 4:30. Sometimes I'd watch it twice if I was at home. It was weird. And that would just be, I don't know, it's just nice. I'd watched it from an early age, I suppose. So I'd watch it. I was still watching it when I was 9. Perhaps I shouldn't have been. Play Your Cards Right. That was a game show. Bruce Forsyth. That'd be on midweek kind of time. Probably about 7ish, 7:30. And what it was is basically you put the card and then you just have to guess if the next one was going to be higher or lower. Higher, higher. The audience would be shouting out, higher, higher, or lower, lower. And then the audience member there'd be 2 contestants, I think, or maybe just one. And they'd just have to sort of guess higher or lower. And if it was a higher card, they'd carry on and they have to choose lower or higher or lower, and yeah, that was it really. Pride and Prejudice, I might have watched it. I wouldn't have chosen to watch it, but if it was on TV and I was downstairs, I would have watched it. Rainbow, yeah, I used to watch that. It was, I don't know if I'd still be watching it at 9 though. Younger years, yeah. Play School. It's weird. I kind of get middled up, a little muddled up between Play School and Rainbow. Everybody loves a rainbow. Rent-A-Ghost. It's weird that this show, I don't know if I was still watching it in 1980, but I know I definitely watched it in 1977, because that was a TV show we used to watch before travelling back when my dad on a Sunday afternoon, early evening, late afternoon, I don't know, we'd watch that, and it'd be playing while we were getting ready to get in the car to go back to the children's home. So I just remember that. And I think the bloke in there, he was dressed as a jester, and I think he just held his nose and he could disappear and reappear somewhere else. It was good, I liked it. The Sky at Night. So I used to watch The Sky at Night. Patrick Moore. It's weird that I remember all his names. Patrick Moore, and he used to speak probably 10 times faster than I'm speaking now. And I couldn't understand really anything he was saying. But I wanted to, because he was so enthusiastic about the subject of astronomy, and he clearly knew what he was talking about. You know, he loved the subject. And The Sky at Night was on, it wasn't even on early, it was on like 10 at night or something during the week. And it was, yeah, it's started in 1957. I don't know if Patrick Moore was in it from the start, but he was, I know it sounds weird, but he always seemed old. Because he's just like, you know, when I was a kid, he seemed like he was in his like 60s then. He might not have been. My friend actually had a neighbour. His neighbours with him. So I had a friend, my friend downstairs, actually knew Patrick Moore. And Patrick Moore used to give him lifts and stuff. Because he was like, I don't know about a next door neighbour, but he lived like in the same road. But they had, I don't know if they've still got it, but they've got a new lady, the last time I watched it. And she speaks just as fast as he does, or he did. It's like, wow, what's going on there? Maybe it's just so much to talk about, so much to get in to the half-hour programme that they just, you know, there's no room for breaths or gaps. Screen Test. It was a children's film quiz. No. Don't remember that. See Here. This is a magazine show. It says launched in 1981. So why are you showing me it? It's context only. No, they're just like showing me stuff that was nearly on in 1980, but it was art. And why are you doing that? 7 Up 21. Up 21 Up, the Up series. Ah, got it. It's it was a TV show, and they started showing like a documentary, and they followed these kids. Every 7 years they'd do another documentary about these kids. Well, they weren't kids, obviously. After a while they would be adults, and they followed them from, it was like called 7 Up, and they would just follow them. So every 7 years they'd do another documentary and interview the kids and see how they've been getting on. I don't remember ever watching it. I've seen it. I do remember watching it because I'm talking about it, but I've seen it in later years, probably when they were in their 20s or 30s, but not back then. Wasn't really something I'd be watching. Shillingbury Tales. Sink or Swim? Nope. Songs of Praise. Right, Songs of Praise used to be on a Sunday. Yeah, we'd have it on. It was basically just, if I remember, it would just be like a normal church service on a Sunday morning, and they'd just be singing carols. Not Christmas carols, but maybe carols isn't the right songs anyway. Religious songs. I don't think I'd probably personally watch it myself, but it might have been on. If it was on, I'd watch it, probably. I don't mind a nice little carol. I love Christmas carols, I really do. Like the nice, okay, not the nice ones, the famous ones. Yeah, I don't want to listen to some obscure ones that I've never heard of before. You know, I want proper like Silent Night and Away in the Manger, you know, that kind of stuff. Away in the manger. Sounding Brass. Nope. Don't know what that's about. It's a sitcom. Sports Night. Oh, it's just another sports thing. The Big Match. Yeah, so that, I think that was once a week, and they'd show a big match. That was ITV. See, football was really, I mean, it still is not big, isn't it, worldwide, but it was on TV quite a lot. And That's Life. So this was a TV show of Esther Ranson, and it was very wacky. I'm pretty sure it was on a Sunday evening. At least at some point it was on a Sunday evening. And they'd have things like, they go between serious stuff and really funny stuff. Like they had a dog that would be saying sausages, which is a kind of a joke I had with Uncle Sausages, actually, because he started calling Vinny sausages. But things like that, and they'd have letters, really ridiculous letters, readers' letters and stuff. But then they'd talk about serious things, and they'd catch people out that were doing fraud, you know, like the phoning up people and putting secret cameras into people's houses and all kinds of stuff that's been done since then. But they were like one of the first to do it. I might be making that bit up, but it was really popular. The Adventure Game, nope. The Boat Race, nope. Are you joking me? I tell you, it's weird, right? And I don't know why. Don't know why. But the amount of times I visited my nan on the exact day that the national boat race was going on. And it was always seemed to be the Oxford and Cambridge. They seemed to be, one of them was the winners, like every single year, for some reason. Maybe it's because they're the only two. They was always like in the last race, or I don't know. But yeah, it was like, it's not really a race. It was just two people, is it? I mean, it is a race, but anyway, the amount of times I was at my nan's when that was on. The Gentle Touch. That was weird. It was a TV show. I think she was a detective, but it's very weird. It was quite dark, kind of gritty. Siobhan, Siobhan, or something. I remember the song, such a weird song. Siobhan, Siobhan, something like that. Maybe her name was Siobhan. I just remember, okay, I shouldn't really say this, but there was, yeah, I won't, but there was one scene where a bloke was there and he was being a bit rude towards her. The old days, nope. The goodies, the goodies, goody goody gum gum. So, the goodies, if you don't know what that is, it was very anarchic comedy show, and it was, I would say, kind of in some ways the precursor to the Young Ones, because it was a bunch of friends living in a house together, and I think they were all, I don't know if they were students, but they were kind of, it's very different, but it's still kind of, for its time, very, very crazy. But at the same time, it was also very, I'd say, influenced by Monty Python and the Goons. It's just very, it was surreal, slapstick, cerebral, I guess. It was a very, just really, really good show, and I loved watching it. It was just funny. The goodies, goody goody gum gum. I don't say that. Perhaps that should be my. That should be the theme tune for this. It's Thursday Throwback, goody goody gum gum. So you got the Money Programme. I didn't watch that when I was 9. I've watched it when I was older though. I don't think it's still on. The Morecambe and Wise show. I used to watch that. I watched it whenever it was on because it was like the top show to watch. Morecambe and Wise were the two top entertainers in this country, probably next to the two Ronnies. I would say probably the two. I wouldn't say Morecambe and Wise are more popular. The TV shows were, I think, like Christmas episodes, but as far as entertainers, yeah, the two Ronnies were also massive as well. But they might have, yeah, I think they're probably on a different channel. The two Ronnies were BBC One. So Morecambe and Wise, they weren't on at the same time, I don't think, so you get to watch both. If I remember, it would be on a Saturday night, and the Morecambe and Wise show would be on, and then the two Ronnies would be on. Or they'd have it on different times. Not different times, but like different times of the year. So yeah, blimey. The Old Grey Whistle Test, I'd never watched that. That was kind of, it's a music show. It's a music show. The Professionals. I did get to watch that, but that was on... Did I get to watch it in 1980? Possibly not. Because it was quite adult. But it was also on a Saturday night, and I was allowed to stay up later on a Saturday night. I think I was allowed to stay up till 11. Maybe 10. Ooh, not 100% sure. But I'm pretty sure I got to see it, and it was one of the best TV shows at the time. Now, it was competition with Starsky and Hutch, which is further down. S. That's weird. It just shows you, doesn't it? It's not even on here. Now, Starsky and Hutch was definitely, Starsky and Hutch would have been first. So this is not a complete list of everything. Okay, but Starsky and Hutch is that was our version of Starsky and Hutch, really. I would say in some ways it was more gritty. Starsky and Hutch was funnier, but also Starsky and Hutch was really gritty as well, wasn't it? So at times I loved both of them. I did. Actually, The Professionals was quite funny as well, actually, at times. So I would say probably there was similarities between the two of them. But they were both really, really good shows. Really, great shows. But I don't know when Starsky and Hutch started. Maybe it was after. Maybe The Professionals was first, because that started in 1977. And then you got the two Ronnies. I'm going to say Starsky and Hutch as well, just in case. It must have been on around 1980. I have to search this. I have to search it, shall I? Starsky and Hutch. Wow, it finished. The show had actually finished before 1980. There was only 4 seasons of it. Wow. Okay, fair enough. So yeah, it was on till... Yeah, so it was finished before The Professionals even... No, The Professionals started 77, so I imagine they copied the format, but it definitely made it their own though, because there was similarities, buddy movie, two cops together, detectives. I think that's kind of where it ended, really. It's so different, really, I think. The two Ronnies, so I used to love watching that. The This Is Your Life, I'd watch it sometimes. It was basically a celebration of someone's life. So, and it always surprised the person. So what they do is, let's say, for example, there was a comedian on stage, and then the comedian, or a singer, so the singer kind of finishes their last song and taking a bow, and they're getting flowers brought to them. But it was Michael Aspel, I think, was the person. It might have been other people, but Michael Aspel did it definitely for a while. And he'd walk on with a big bunch of flowers, so you couldn't even see him. And then he'd he'd bring out a big red book and say, "Welcome, Sir Sing a Lot, whatever your name is. This is your life. Do 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 do," something like that. And then they'd cut back to the TV studio, because then obviously they'd travel, because it wasn't live, and it's not previously filmed. I mean, which I guess you know what it wasn't lived means, but wasn't lived live. So then they'd bring on people like their family, work colleagues, people that, quite a lot of other celebrities, to celebrate their life. So yeah, I used to watch that. Watched it for years, actually. Tis Was. I've already kind of mentioned Tis Was. I used to watch it, but did I still watch it in 1980? I don't know. I'm not sure. But it used to be on the other side of the swap shop, multicoloured swap shop. And they'd both have cartoons on. And we kind of get to know roughly when the cartoons are on, so we'd swap over, say me and my brothers. At this point, probably not my brothers. When I was, 1980, my brother was like 2 and 4 years older, so they probably wouldn't be watching it anymore. In fact, I could say definitely they wouldn't have been. To serve them all my days, some drama, nope, don't know. To the Manor Born, oh, I loved that. Yeah, I used to watch that. It was Penelope Keith and Bowers, Richard Bowers, I forget his name, but he's basically it's Penelope Keith has to sell her house because I think just running into financial difficulty, and she's got a manor and she has to sell it, and the person who bought it, Peter Bowles I think his name is, he bought it, and I think he lets her stay and live in there, and then he falls in love with her and all this stuff, and he's like a rich man, and it's this a comedy, it's like a love story really, but she's a proper posh, proper stuck up in it, which is a character she played very well. She had the same character in It's a Good Life, or The Good Life. Top of the Pops. I forgot how much I know about TV programs. It's ridiculous, isn't it? I've spent my whole life watching television. Top of the Pops used to be on a Thursday evening, and I would watch it every single time if I could. I loved Top of the Pops. Just loved it. It was as much of my weekly routine as brushing my teeth. Tomorrow's World. Oh, that was kind of science show. I used to watch that. I watched it, but they'd talk about stuff in the future, how things are going to be in 30 years' time or 50 years' time, and computers and robots and things like that, flying cars and big screen TVs. So yeah, it's quite interesting. In fact, it's quite interesting to watch now on YouTube, to watch things or to see the things that they predicted that would be happening around this time. You're training dogs the Woodhouse way. So Mary Woodhouse, she was very famous for shouting out, I can't do it because it's a word that Vinny likes, but it's basically but I can't say it because he's semi-asleep, but he's laying down at my feet, but he's definitely listening. I know he is, because his ears are moving. The Two Ronnies Christmas Special. Huge audience. The same way as there's certain shows that were massive at Christmas. The Two Ronnies, one of the biggest shows of the year at Christmas. So I love the Two Ronnies. It's quite weird, when you get a double act, and quite often I prefer one over the other. Like the two, we had Little and Large. I preferred Large over Little. Cannonball, I preferred Bobby Ball over Mr. Cannon. Just because in the double act, one was funny, one was not the straight man, but he was like allowed the other one to be the funny one. With the Two Ronnies, they were both equally funny. One wasn't funnier than the other one. In my opinion, they were both just really funny. So, yeah, I loved them. And I did. I guess. Like Ronnie Barker was brilliant because he was also in a TV show sitcom called. What was it called? Wow, it's gone out of my head. But it was in a prison sitcom. And he was really good in that. But then Ronnie Corbett was in a TV sitcom called Sorry, and I really loved that show. They showed it recently, and I still find it funny even now. So, Porridge, that's the name of the... No, I've not looked it up. I've got it from my memory. Porridge was the sitcom that Ronnie Barker was in. And that was way more popular than Sorry was. But I like both. University Challenge, I didn't watch that. I've never been into quiz shows, to be honest with you. Unless they're funny. But I never watched the quiz show really and tried to actually get the answer. The Val Doonican music show used to be on. I'm pretty sure it used to be on a Sunday night. And it was on to watch. And the thing about it, I didn't necessarily want to watch it, but it's very relaxing. Because it had Val Doonican sitting on stage, a live stage. I don't think it was a live broadcast, but it was filmed before a live audience. And it'd be, if I remember rightly, he'd been sitting in a rocking chair, holding a guitar. And I think he'd tell some jokes and he'd sing some songs, then he'd have a guest singer on or something, and it was just really calm and really nice, gentle stuff. Another TV show, We Are the Champions. I don't remember it. I think of that song, the Queen song, but What the Papers Say, nope. World in Action, that's another current affairs show. World of Sport, it's just another sporty thing. Yes Minister, very popular show on BBC Two, and it followed this member of Parliament, and then eventually they changed it to Yes Prime Minister because he became Prime Minister, and he's a little bit incompetent, but he's got it's kind of funny, but he's got this, what do they call it, behind him that's controlling him and manipulating him the whole time. So, I guess very similar to maybe how things are now, but it was a funny show, very political, very intelligent. I'm not sure how much I appreciate it at the age of 9, if I'm honest. But I definitely watched it later on in life. So we're going to move on to Nationwide. That was another current affairs show, like a magazine show. I probably did watch it, but not really my thing at that age. Because some of these programs I'd watched when I was older, but I wouldn't watch it when I was 9 or 10. 9 o'clock news, no, I'll be in bed by then. Noah and Nelly in. Don't remember that. Not the 9 o'clock news. Really funny sketch show. And every single member of that sketch show went on to be famous. Probably one of the most famous ones out of all of them was Mr. Bean. But all of them went on to be famous, like Mel Smith, Rufus Jones, was his Griff, Pamela Stevenson, and Rowan Atkinson. So I'm not sure who else, but all of them went on to sort of do really good things. I mean, Pamela Anderson, not Pamela Anderson, Pamela Stevenson, married Billy Connolly, as well as like doing her own stuff as well. I think she's a psychiatrist now. I don't think I was allowed to watch it in 1980 though, but I would have watched it probably 81, 82, because I used to watch it with my brother. So I probably didn't see it when it was like first around. On Safari, no, don't remember that. Out of Town, Paddington. Wow, flappy ears. How does he make that much noise just flapping his ears? Do you think it's just me mentioning Paddington that's got him going? Parkinson. I used to watch Parkinson. It used to be like Saturday early evening. Well, not early evening, but like probably about 8 o'clock. And it'd be a chat show. And Michael Parkinson was one of the most popular chat show hosts this country's ever had. Next to, I mean, there's been a few over the years, but he's probably the most respected, actually, I would say. He's not my favourite, but it's probably one of the most respected ones. You got like Terry Wogan as well. There's been quite a few, but he was definitely very, very popular. He came back again and did another show much later on. Pipkins. I mildly remember that. It's a children's puppetry show. I can't remember the name for some reason. Play for Today, don't remember that. Pot Black. Oh, what? Pot Black. That was Steve Davison, wasn't it? And Gemini? What was his name? The snooker player. See, I had no interest in snooker. Not really. We did have a snooker table, but I wasn't interested in snooker because, unfortunately, my brothers always won and they never let me win. So, never being able to win at anything, I lost interest. It's kind of like it was like me trying to have an arm wrestle with my 4-year older brother. So when I was 10, he was 14. Twice my size. Like, I was never going to win an arm wrestle unless he let me. So I was never going to, if he'd have kind of let me nearly win, or I might have had a bit more encouragement and maybe wanted to go to school and have arm wrestlers with kids my own age. But because I never got a chance to win or even look like I was going to win, I'd lost interest. It's not his fault. Well, it is. Pot Black, very funny. With Jim Davidson, a very funny show. Because they were just joking with each other the whole time through it. Virgo his name was. And he used to do trick shots and stuff. And it was a game show, but it's very funny. He... I might have it wrong. I think that's the name of it, but it was there was definitely a show with Jim Davidson and Virgo. His surname was, I can't remember his first name. Really funny show. Now, didn't matter if you liked snooker or not. The way they kind of bounced off each other, it was like a double act. Really, but they were both funny. Quatermass. I don't remember that. I've heard of it, but I don't remember the show. Question Time. That's what I was talking about earlier, about the 3 people or the 6 people around the table with a host and a live audience asking politicians questions and stuff. That's still on today. Not today, but it's still, well, it might be on today because it's Thursday, but it's still on, They got through a lot of different hosts over the years. Richard Dimbleby was hosting it for a long time. I liked it when he was on it, and then it could be good at times, but I don't know. I don't really watch it too much. I think now that news is 24 hours a day, accessible 24 hours a day, from pretty much any country, as well as live streams on YouTube and all the different apps and stuff, it's not quite the same anymore. You know, like watching the news at 9 or 10, it's like, actually, I can, instead of just hearing what happened, their version of what happened earlier in the day, or what might be happening now, I can actually go and watch a live stream of what's actually happening right now. So yeah, it's I think the news need to kind of change how they do things, maybe, because I don't watch the news really much anyway. I like to keep track, just keep updated. But yeah, I definitely don't talk about the news, so let's move on. Rainbow Roadshow. Nope. It's a spin-off from Rainbow, I guess, yeah. Ripping Yarns. Now that was funny. I don't remember watching it in 1980. I've seen repeats, and it's got, what's his name from the Monty Python? Oh, the one that does all the travelling. Oh, I forget his name. But he always made me laugh. He had a funny face. Just his smile made me laugh when he was in Monty Python. But he was in that, and they had a few people. I think they had Terry as well, and they had a few of the Monty Python people in it. But it's very funny. Then you got Rolf's Cartoon Club. I don't remember that, not the Cartoon Club, but I was on the Rolf Harris show, which was that was the year earlier. I don't know. I was about 9 when I was in the Rolf Harris show. Oh. Maybe it was a year earlier. Rough Justice, I don't remember that. Saturday Superstore. Maybe that's what took over from the multicoloured swap shop. I think it did. I think it took over on a Saturday. It was pretty much the same format, just called something different. It might not have been the same presenter. I don't know. You got Screen 2, Drama, Anthology, Secret Army, nope. Shooting Stars, nope. It's not the comedy that was from the 90s. Songs of Praise. Did we not always talk about... We've already mentioned Songs of Praise, haven't we? No? It's just songs from a church. I thought we'd already done that one. South Bank Show. That's like an art show where they'd talk about art galleries and obscure kind of music and things like that. Space. I don't remember that. It was... oh no, wow. Space 1999. Loved Space 1999. I thought they were putting the year it was on. No, Space 1999. It was very good. I don't know if it was English or American. I can't remember. But I know there was toys. So the fact that there was toys and there was merchandise makes me think that it possibly wasn't made in the UK. Because I used to have the spaceship that would travel down and it would drop it's almost like a container, which would be the inside of the spaceship, drop it and then take off again, from the show Space 1999. Oh, I love that show. And it had a bloke that was like it had a lady that could turn into animals. Yeah, and there's a bloke called Hawkman that looked a bit like a hawk, and he was a man. So, Star Trek. I mean, this is kind of the time that I started watching Star Trek, like 79, 1980, for the 60s series, because I'd never seen it before. Because it stopped airing before I was even born. So I used to love watching it. It used to be on BBC Two. See, wow, got good memory. BBC Two, and about 6 o'clock in the evening. And I think they did that thing where they just show it every night, a different episode every night. Steptone's Son. Again, it's repeats, so I probably maybe watched it. I've seen lots of Steptone's Son episodes, but that's one that finished in 74. So I might have watched it when I was a kid, like younger as well. Survivors, no, don't remember that. Take the High Road. Scottish Soap. Don't remember that. I think I do remember watching it in the 80s, like 86, 87. Like it would be on in the afternoon, around the same time, just after Sons and Daughters or something. Taxi. Now, I don't know if I ever watched Taxi when it was on, when it first was on. But I do know it was very funny. But I don't know when it was on. I don't know, just can't remember. And I've seen episodes, but I've never seen, I don't think I've ever seen like every episode of Taxi, and they just don't show it on TV. Not here anyway, but they did back then. Terry and June. I loved Terry and June. Loved. And Terry Scott, who played Terry, and June Whitfield, who played June. Terry had an amazing voice. He played... He did the voice for the sidekick of Danger Mouse. And Del Boy did Danger Mouse's voice. See? From Only Fools and Horses. The Benny Hill Show. I watched the Benny Hill Show. 100%. I watched that whenever I could. Yeah, I loved the Benny Hill Show. The Dick Emery Show. I used to watch that. I think that was on a Saturday night. Very funny. Well, I used to find it funny. The Generation Game. The Larry Grayson era. Yep, I remember that. Shut That Door. That was funny. He was. I liked Bruce Forsyth, but Larry Grayson was funny. He's just funnier as a presenter. I just thought he was funnier. For energy, no one had more energy than Bruce Forsyth. As a presenter, he was into what he did, and he seemed to be loving what he was doing. Larry Grayson was just very funny. Yeah, you got the Kenny Everett video show. I still watch that now when it's on. Again, very funny. Big influence on me, the Kenny Everett show. There's a few characters that I used to do, what I used to do when it wasn't on and pretend to be him. One was Sid Snot. So, and he'd go on and he'd be dressed up as a punk, Sid Snot ear, and whatever, and there was another one, like an American movie star actress with these big fake cleavage thing, and he'd be doing, he'd be dressed up as a woman, and he'd be putting his legs over each other, crossing his legs and saying, "Oh, it's done in the best possible taste." So I just used to doing those characters when I was 30. So the Les Dawson show, and also the Kenny Everett, I don't know, he was very funny. I used to listen to his radio show in about 91. Just so funny, just really, really funny person. So the Les Dawson show, I used to watch that. He was really funny as well. The Liverbirds, I don't remember watching the Liverbirds. That was based in Liverpool, but I probably did watch it, I just don't remember. I think it was on like midweek kind of time, around about like 8 o'clock. Then you got the Muppet Show. Now there was a time when the Muppet Show was pretty much the biggest TV show on. It was peak time Saturday night TV viewing, and they'd have some of the biggest stars on there as well. It was funny, and it was like the top show. So yeah, I used to watch that. It was always on. It was the show that we'd watch. The One Din Line, I've got no idea what that is. Paul Daniels' Magic Show. Now, I know that if you're in other parts of the world, you may not know who Paul Daniels was. He was huge. And it wasn't just the TV shows. It was mainly the TV shows, but he also toured and stuff. He was the most famous magician probably ever produced in this country. Arguably. I mean, you might say, what about Derren Brown? But you know, like, as far as his impact, he introduced magic to millions of kids. And he sold magic sets as well. So I got a magic set, and probably millions of other kids around the country got these magic sets. And like learning the beginnings, you know, how to do magic. So yeah, I used to watch that. The Professionals, we've already talked about that. Why am I? It's coming up twice. The Sweeney, I wasn't allowed to watch that. It was too adult. It was on too late, and it was a bit sweary and stuff, so I wasn't allowed to watch it. But even once I could watch it and it was on reruns, I just wasn't really. I mean, because it had the two characters it had in there had moved on from that role, so the main character was now in sitcoms, and he was also in. He was like a detective, but a very kind of calm detective. I forget the name of the show. But also Terry from Minder. He was quite calm as well in that show, and he was, you know, it's just like there's a lot of shouting and stuff in the Sweeney. I didn't really like it. The Tomorrow People, freaky show. They could all communicate telepathically. So, yeah, I used to watch it. I think it was repeats, though. Yeah, repeats. The Two of Us, ITV, don't remember that one, sitcom. The Val Doonican Show, it's given me stuff that's already here, I've seen before. Three of a Kind. I think that was I'm pretty sure that was some kind of sketch show. Thunderbirds. Not really that into those puppet shows, really. I preferred more like real life stuff. And I think once Star Wars came along and Superman, the movie, came along, it changed things because of the special effects was so good. It was hard to go back to watching really bad special effects after seeing really good ones. I know it was about money and TV shows didn't have that money, but it just, yeah, it it was hard. It kind of had an effect for me. I didn't really want to see puppets with strings after seeing Darth Vader and spaceships, you know. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, I don't remember watching that. I've heard of the show, but I didn't watch it. Tom and Jerry, that's just standard cartoons I used to watch. Top Gear, no, never watched that as a kid. Top of the Pops, I'm sure that's already been on this list. Every Thursday. Treasure Hunt, okay. So there was a TV show called Treasure Hunt, which basically had Aretha Franklin, Annika. What was her name? Annika Rice? I think it was Annika Rice. It's not just me saying this, but she had the most famous bum on television. It was all the newspapers are always talking about it, because she'd have a camera following her around. She'd go to places looking for treasure, and she'd get directions from someone in the studio, and the cameraman or the camera woman, whoever, they were just fixed on her bum the whole time. So in answer to the question, yeah, I did watch that. Triumph of the Nerds, don't know that one. University Challenge, no, I would never watch something like University Challenge. Why would I watch a show with questions that only university students would struggle with? No. At 9, not at any age. Upstairs, Downstairs. I did see a bit of it, but didn't like it really. Verndo Valk, no. What's My Line? When the Boat Comes In. Now, I don't remember that, but they've been showing it lately, and it's a Newcastle show, and it's gritty, but it's interesting at the same time. I've only seen, I think, 1 or 2 episodes, and it's out of kilter as well, so I don't know what the storyline's really about. But it's got the same bloke from What Happened to the Likely Lads. Another, coming to the end of the list now. Who Done It? Wogan. Wogan used to be on, at that time I think he was on a Friday night. But then there came a time, or maybe twice a week, but there was a time when he was on every single night, Monday to Friday, 7 o'clock, the Wogan Show. And I used to watch it. I used to like Terry Wogan. Had a nice manner about him. And he'd interview famous people. They'd come on, some people would come and sing a song and stuff like that. It was quite famous. The people used to touch his knee. He was more famous than the show. Wurzel Gummidge, loved Wurzel Gummidge. I watched that. Whenever it was on, I'd watch it. I'd watch it now if it was on. World at War. Here's something you might not know about Wurzel Gummidge. Wurzel Gummidge actually starred, the actor in Wurzel Gummidge was also Doctor Who. Okay. But the Crowman, who made Wurzel Gummidge, it's also in the show, he was the first Doctor Who. Hey, who'd have thought that, eh? That might not be true, but they were both Doctor Who's anyway. You think I'm lying? I'm not lying. Okay, right, just have a look. Look. Wurzel Gummidge. Wurzel Gummidge. So let's look at the TV show. The first TV show. So, Wurzel Gummidge TV show. So we had John Pertwee. And, okay, let's go to... Actually, no, I got it wrong. He was Catweasel. That's right. Sorry. I knew he was someone. Oh, obviously there's no one. Geoffrey Belden. So John Pertwee was he was Doctor Who 1970 to 74. Okay. Geoffrey Belden, who was the Crowman in thing, he was Catweasel 1969 to 1970. And it was really good in that as well. He's been gone a while, but that was a great show as well. I got it wrong about being both doctors, but at least I checked it for you. They weren't really doctors. World in Action. Yes, Minister. It's already done that one. You Bet. You Bet was it was a game show, wasn't it? I can't remember. I don't remember. It was a game show. ITV. I don't remember what it was, who was in it, or what it was about. Now, there's lots of others that probably haven't been included, but that's one heck of a list that I have included. One particular show, Game for a Laugh, I'm sure that was around in 1980, but some of those would be around 1981. I mean, what will happen next week when I do 1981 TV shows, there's going to be some crossovers. So what I'll have to do is try and take those out, but I might not remember to do that. So, so there will be ones that were still on, and then other ones that were new, like maybe the A-Team or Dynasty and stuff like that. Shogun, I don't know what year that was on, but Monkey, but I think that was like late 70s. So that, I do believe, brings us to the end of this here recording. So I'd like to say thank you for listening. Remember to be kind to yourself, because you do deserve to be happy. And be gentle with yourself. You deserve to feel safe. And I will do another one of these next Thursday. And tomorrow is Q&A Friday. Take care. Lots of love. Bye.